There is a sound that stops people mid-step. Not a car alarm, not a siren, not anything mechanical. A sharp, rhythmic knock coming from somewhere on your house. You look up, and there it is, a woodpecker, drilling into your siding, your trim, your fascia board, sometimes the same spot, day after day. Most people's first instinct is frustration. Their second is confusion. Because woodpeckers are supposed to be in trees. They are supposed to be in the forest, in the old dead oaks, in the wild places. Not here. Not on your house. Not at 7 in the morning. What most people do not know is that a woodpecker choosing your house is not random. It is not an accident, and it is not simply a bird that got confused. It is a specific communication to you, to other birds, and to the world around it. And the reason it keeps coming back has everything to do with what your house represents to a bird that has been reading the landscape around your home far longer than you have been aware of it. Welcome back to the Bird Oracle. If you are new here, subscribe before you leave, because what you are about to learn will change the way you hear that knock. Today we are going to go through exactly what it means when a woodpecker targets your house, why it keeps returning to the same spot, and what the behavior tells you about the hidden life happening in the walls and eaves of your own home. Stay until the end, because the last reason woodpeckers knock on houses is the one that most people find the hardest to believe and the most difficult to ignore once they know it. Number 1. It is not looking for insects. It is announcing itself. This is the assumption almost everyone makes. Woodpecker on the house equals bugs in the wall. And sometimes that is true. We will get to that. But the majority of woodpecker drumming on houses, particularly on metal gutters, chimney caps, aluminum flashing, and wooden trim, is not foraging. It is communication. Woodpeckers drum. It is one of the primary ways they establish territory and attract mates, the same way songbirds sing. The problem is that drumming requires resonance. A woodpecker, looking for the loudest, most carrying surface in its territory, will test options the way a musician tests acoustics. Dead trees are ideal. Hollow logs work. But a human house, with its large, flat surfaces, its metal components, its hollow cavities behind vinyl siding, can produce a sound that carries farther than almost anything in the natural landscape. When a woodpecker finds your house and keeps coming back to the same spot, there is a very good chance it has found the best amplifier in its territory. The message it is sending is not directed at you. It is directed at every other woodpecker within earshot. This space is claimed. I am here. I am strong enough to make this sound. Stay away. The fact that it chose your house is, in a strange way, a compliment. Your house is part of the acoustic landscape of a bird's territory, and it found your home worthy of broadcasting from. Number 2. There actually are insects in your wall. Now for the reason people fear most, because this one has consequences. Certain species of woodpecker, particularly the downy, the hairy, and the red-bellied, will excavate siding, trim, and structural wood when they have detected the presence of insects inside. Carpenter bees, carpenter ants, and wood-boring beetle larvae all produce vibrations and sounds inside wood that woodpeckers can detect with a precision that no human instrument has replicated. A woodpecker that returns to the same spot on your house repeatedly, that is not drumming on a resonant surface, but methodically chipping and excavating, working slowly and deliberately, prying away material rather than striking it rhythmically, that bird has found something. It has heard or felt something moving inside your wall that you have not yet noticed. The hole it leaves behind is not the problem. It is the diagnostic result of a problem that already existed. Researchers studying woodpecker damage to structures have consistently found active insect infestations behind the sites of woodpecker excavation. In many cases, the woodpecker located the infestation before any visible exterior sign was present. the bird is not damaging your house. It is reading your house, and what it is reading, it is telling you about in the only language it has. If the drumming is rhythmic and the surface is resonant metal or smooth wood, it is communication. If it is slow, deliberate, and localized to the same small patch day after day, something is living in your wall, and you should find out what before it becomes something larger. Number 3. It is choosing your house because your yard told it to. A woodpecker does not appear in a yard randomly. It appears because the landscape around your home has communicated something specific to a bird that has been surveying the area. Large trees, particularly older ones with dead limbs or rough bark, are the primary draw. Mature oaks, maples, hickories, and especially dead-standing trees called snags are habitat anchors for woodpeckers in suburban areas. If a woodpecker is visiting your yard and knocking on your house, it means your property sits inside the territory of a bird that has assessed your landscape and decided it is worth inhabiting. The old tree at the edge of your property, the dead limb you have been meaning to take down, the rough bark of a mature maple. These are the features that brought a woodpecker into your yard in the first place, and once it is in your yard, your house becomes part of the landscape it moves through and reads. The drumming on your house, in this context, is an extension of what the bird is already doing in the trees around you. It found you because your yard already had what it needed. The house is simply the loudest thing in it. Number 4. It has been watching you. This is the part that surprises people the most, and it connects to something we have covered before on this channel. Woodpeckers, particularly the larger species like the pileated, are long-lived birds. The pileated woodpecker has a documented wild lifespan of up to 12 years, the red-bellied woodpecker, over 20 years in documented cases. These are not birds passing through your yard on the way to somewhere else. These are residents, territorial, long-memoried, and paying attention. Studies tracking banded woodpeckers have shown the same patterns documented in chickadees and cardinals' strong sight fidelity return to the same territories across multiple years, and clear recognition of individual humans associated with those territories. A woodpecker that has been excavating the same tree at the edge of your yard for 3 years has been watching the humans who come and go from the house nearby for 3 years. It knows your patterns. It has filed information about when you appear, how you move, and whether you represent a threat. The bird knocking on your house this morning is not encountering your home for the first time. It has likely been in your yard long enough to have a history there, a history that includes you, whether you knew you were part of it or not. Number 5. The knock carries meaning beyond what you can hear. There is one more layer to woodpecker drumming that most people never learn, and it is the one I find the most quietly astonishing. The drumming of a woodpecker is not just loud, it is structured. Different species produce different rhythmic signatures, specific rates of strikes per second, specific patterns of acceleration and pause that function as identity markers. A downy woodpecker drums at a different rate than a hairy. A red-bellied has a different pattern than a pileated. These are not just species differences. Research suggests that individual birds within a species may produce subtly distinct rhythmic patterns, the equivalent of a vocal signature. What this means is that the knock you hear from inside your house, the one that wakes you up or pulls you to the window, is not noise. It is a structured signal carrying information that the rest of the bird community around your home is actively reading. Other woodpeckers are receiving territorial data. Other species are calibrating their own behavior in response. The acoustic landscape of your yard, the songs and calls and drumming that you experience as pleasant background, is a dense information network running continuously through the trees and eaves and fence posts of your property. The woodpecker on your house is not an interruption to that network. It is one of its most prominent voices, and it chose your house as the place to speak from. What to do and what not to do. If a woodpecker is drumming for resonance, the behavior will usually taper off after breeding season ends. The bird has made its announcement. It will move on to other parts of its territory and come back periodically to maintain presence. In the meantime, covering the drumming spot with mesh or foam can redirect it without harming the bird. If a woodpecker is excavating slow, deliberate, returning to the same small area, have a professional look at that section of your house. Not to punish the bird. To thank it, in the only way that matters, by addressing what it found. And if a woodpecker simply visits your yard, moves through the old tree, drops to the suet feeder, looks at you with that particular sideways attention that woodpeckers have, and goes about its morning, let it. It is part of the life of your yard, in a way that began long before this morning. It will likely be part of it long after. The knock on your house is not a problem. It is a message from a bird that has decided your home is worth broadcasting from, worth excavating, worth returning to. It has read your landscape, assessed your trees, noted your patterns, and chosen to be here. That is not a small thing. Most creatures in the world move through human spaces without stopping. This one stopped. This one keeps stopping. There is a reason for that. Now you know what it is. Tell me in the comments, have you had a woodpecker knock on your house? What did it turn out to be? I read every one. Subscribe to the Bird Oracle if this changed the way you heard that sound. And share this with someone who has been woken up by the knock and never knew what to make of it.